You don't need a winter arc, you need to slow down. Obviously, if this trend inspires you, that's great. Do what's best for you. But if, like me, you are observing this trend and feeling like it is playing into this idea that our value is tied to what we do or what we produce as opposed to just who we are being as opposed to doing. If you are like me and have been feeling a bit weird about this trend, I'm making this video to remind you that it's okay to slow down and it's okay to rest. There is another way. You don't have to enter your winter arc. You don't have to feel bad about not entering your winter arc. You can just rest. That is what winter in nature is for, right? The leaves die, the plants hibernate, the animals hibernate, all ready for spring. There is a time to rest. This is that time. If you don't feel productive or you feel behind, it's okay. You don't need to feel productive. Especially in this time, I find that I need more sleep anyway. Like I feel more tired earlier on in the day, so maybe like 9 p.m. I'm thinking of getting into bed as opposed to in the summer. It can be a lot later. That's normal. It gets dark at like 4. After 5 hours of darkness, my brain is probably like, yeah, it's time to wind down for bed. Let's go through 3 ways to rest, because our society, as we mentioned, is so oriented about producing things of what we do, which we're going to come on to a little bit later in the video. So let's talk about 3 easy things you can do to rest today so that you can get more into this mindset of slowing down and resting and being, just existing in the present moment as opposed to being really goal orientated. There's definitely a place for that, but it doesn't have to be all go, go, go. If you want to rest and you need to rest in this season, that's a good idea too. So the first way to rest is to spend some time outside in the sunshine, in the rain, around trees or in green spaces if there's a park nearby, or if you have a garden, if you can walk by a lake or a river. It's a really calming thing to do. Take deep breaths while you're walking. Walk slowly if we're talking about slowing down. It brings you into the present moment and helps you to notice things because you're not just rushing on to the next thing. You're not going on a walk with the purpose of being like, I want to get 5,000 steps done on this walk, or this is adding into my movement for the day. Like, yes, it is, but we don't always have to be thinking about these things in terms of goals that have to be achieved or like things we can tick off our to-do list. We can just be in the moment and rest. Another really helpful thing under this umbrella of time outside is looking at the stars. I spent some time doing this today. It is so powerful for me. It's a really healing thing just to look at the stars and be like, yeah, I'm small. My problems are small in comparison to the vastness of the universe. Maybe that sounds a bit bleak, but to me, it really helps. It does feel like a really healing, therapeutic moment where I'm just observing something bigger than myself and being like, it's okay, I'm okay. The second way that we can rest is less screen time. And this is definitely a difficult one. We are often on social media. I mean, you're literally watching a YouTube video. I love YouTube, right? I love making videos. I love watching videos. I'm on Twitter a lot. But it is not even up for debate for me that less screen time is definitely a way to rest and reconnect, be in the present, right? So often we can like be on our phones or see other people on their phones and it's just like, hey, can we just like be in this moment together? Say hello, like have a chat, as opposed to as soon as there's a bit of silence looking at our phone. Like we all do this. But if you want to get more into this mindset of rest or of slowing down, prioritizing being in the present, a really simple way to do that is notice when you're reaching for your phone and maybe just be like, okay, yeah, I've got a bit of time here, like waiting for the bus, waiting for the train, but I don't have to just scroll on my phone. Like I can just look around. Maybe I can notice what shoes everyone is wearing. Maybe I can go look around the bookstore in the train station. Maybe I can just sit and watch people walk by. Just being in the present, slowing down, not going on your screen all the time. Then the third way I wanted to mention about resting is mindfulness. And under this, I'm including things like meditation, deep breathing, and yoga. And I know mindfulness might sound like a big, scary thing, but it's actually really easy. We don't need to overcomplicate things. We give these terms because it's helpful to differentiate them, right? But it's not like this big thing that's such a big deal and so difficult to do. Being mindful, you can literally do this by setting a 2-minute timer on your phone, sitting quietly. You could do this at the station. Like, it's good to do this in silence maybe, but equally, if you're out and about and busy, you can bring that rest, this mindset of slowing down, you bring that with you. Put your 2-minute timer on and just watch your thoughts. You're not engaging with any of the emotions that come up. If your to-do list pops into your head, you can just notice it and be like, okay, I'm thinking about that. That's interesting. What else is going on? And you just notice the things going by. And you do that for 2 minutes, right? This is not a big thing. It's not difficult. You can't really get this wrong. Your mind will wander. You just have to bring it back to the moment and be like, okay, I'm going down this thread of, oh, I'm worried about this meeting later, or what did that person mean when they said this thing? But you notice you're going down that thread and you think, okay, we're going back to the present moment, back to the now. And the beauty of building this practice into your everyday, in something as small as while you're waiting for your train or while you're sitting on the train even, the more you do this, the more you build awareness of your thoughts, so that at any given moment, not just when you're doing your 2-minute exercise or your 5-minute mindfulness exercise, not just during that time, but throughout the day, you don't get so caught up in your emotions, or you're more able to spot more quickly, oh, I'm going down a really negative cycle, or like I'm predicting things that haven't happened, or I'm assuming things when really I just need to have a conversation with this person. It makes you more aware of what's going on in your head. And I don't know about you, but there's often a lot of noise going on up there, and our thoughts are not facts. We don't have to listen to everything. Just because you think something does not mean it is true. We can often just accept things going through our mind and we're like, okay, yes, that's happening. And it's like, we have a choice. Like, you don't have to continue on a negative track in your thoughts if you start comparing yourself to other people or focusing on what you lack. Like, you can be like, stop, let's bring some gratitude, or let's just be in the present and notice things here. So mindfulness is really great. You can take some deep breaths during this. I also want to mention yoga, because in yoga, the movements are often tied to your breath. So you will do a certain movement on an inhale and then the next movement on an exhale. So it's a really calming activity that really brings you into the moment, because not only are you focusing on whatever the movement is, but you're also focusing on your breath. Again, not to overcomplicate things. It doesn't matter if you do this wrong. Like, there is no wrong way to do any of this. You can look up some sun salutations on YouTube. I will link the one that I got started with. Once you've done this a few times, you will know it off by heart and it will become very natural. Just approach it with the mindset of, this is easy, or I can do this. I move with ease. Be curious. Remember, it's about slowing down. This is not about like being the best. Even you showing up and trying, you've already done your job. Well done, right? You have time, you don't need to rush, you can enjoy the process and learn. All about slowing down. The next bit, what if you want a winter arc, but you also want to rest? I would say, if you've listened to what I've said so far and you're still like, yeah, but I really like the idea of a winter arc, the whole thing of setting goals and like getting ahead, because that's what I take it to mean. The winter arc is like the bit before New Year's, where you're trying to take control of your goals and your actions now to get ahead of the things that you want to achieve in the new year, to already get like a head start on everyone else, basically. And there are several problems with that. I mentioned control. Whenever this comes up in my mind, I have to remind myself, I'm not in control. Yes, obviously, I can control my actions, my thoughts. We talked about mindfulness, in a wider sense, like the looking at the stars thing. That's reminding me I'm not in control. But also, the idea of getting ahead of other people, I don't really agree with that either. Everyone's on their own timeline. Things will happen or they will not. You will learn certain things. Certain things will or won't be useful to you. Everybody is different. But the main thing, which we did mention earlier, which I want to dedicate this section to, is that you need to detach your self-worth from your productivity. So you're saying you want a winter arc, but you're also like, oh yeah, I see the value of rest. Detach your self-worth from productivity. There's this quote from the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which is going to be in the next section, but this quote here is really relevant. Life isn't out there in the next dopamine hit, the next task, the next experience. It's right here, now. You are allowed to rest. The system we live under, capitalism, tells us that we need to be productive. Capitalism calls unemployed people economically inactive. I don't know if you've noticed that term in the news or in what you're reading. I've certainly noticed it and been like, it's calling unemployed people economically inactive. It's tying their value only to the economy and to what they produce. To me, that is so disturbing. There can be all sorts of reasons why people don't work, whether they're disabled or they're taking care of other people, they're taking care of their mental health. It's a very dangerous, almost eugenicist idea of, if you're not useful to the economy, if you're inactive in the economy, then you're not useful to society. And that, I think, is really, really dangerous, but it is such a widespread thing that we maybe don't even notice it, because this is the wider system that we live under. So telling yourself that you're allowed to rest and detaching your self-worth from productivity, it is a mindset shift, and it might take time to unlearn, but hopefully I have planted a seed and maybe you are now thinking about some things, and this is like the beginning of a process of unlearning. But you resting, you slowing down, you doing quote unquote nothing all day, that is good. It's allowed, it's normal, it's necessary. Detach your self-worth from productivity. You can achieve your goals, you can have your winter arc if you want, but not at the expense of your need to rest. You don't need to hustle, You need to rest. This is literally the season in nature that is built for rest, built for hibernation, built for planting the seeds that come later in spring. And yes, you could be like, yeah, but that's my winter arc. I'm planting the seeds for spring. But it's like, how quickly are you going to burn out if you are so determined to push yourself in this season, which is meant for rest? This season is meant for rest. You can slow down. Nothing bad will happen. No one is quote unquote ahead of you just because you choose to rest in this time and they're out there in their winter arc doing their things. There is obviously a balance to be struck here. It's not just about like resting and doing nothing all day every day. Sometimes we do find our value in the things we do, like going for a run. Then you might feel good. You're like, oh yes, I feel good physically and mentally. I've been for a run and I feel good about myself because I was able to do that. But it doesn't have to be this constant push, this constant thing of I need to do more or I'm not good enough. Detach your self-worth from productivity. You've noticed I've said this several times. It is because it's a really important point that I really want you to think about, because it will help you so much. It will help you as well to stop burning out and to start reconnecting to what you personally need. Like, yes, I'm sure there are definitely people out there who will do their winter arc and they'll achieve whatever they want to achieve. It depends what kind of person you are. It depends what kind of challenges you're dealing with in your relationships or with your mental health, with your job, with your finances. Like, everyone is so different. There is no one size fits all. You're not like better or worse than anyone else. This isn't a race. It's not a competition. It's not like getting ahead of everyone else. I don't find that that's a helpful mindset to have. So you don't need to hustle. You need to rest. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I don't know if you've heard of this book. I have mentioned it probably 6 months ago when I read it in my Little Things episode. This is a brilliant book by John Mark Comer. I have a few quotes that have stuck out to me. To be honest, I could do a whole separate video about this book alone because it is really thought-provoking. And I mean, I've not implemented all of the things that he talks about in that book, but if you did, that would be truly life-changing. The point is to slow down long enough to observe your life from the outside. That's literally what we talked about in terms of mindfulness. I would say as well, another good way to get into this thing of slowing down and resting is to reconnect to yourself through writing. I find this really helpful, either writing as emotional release, getting out all of your feelings and everything that's happening, or doing something like free writing, where you're just getting out every single thing that comes into your head, not thinking about it, just stream of consciousness writing. This slow, cathartic act of writing your life down is grounding, a tether for the soul in the hurricane of the modern world. Writing, journaling is a really grounding activity that will bring you into the present, help you spot patterns if that's what you want, but otherwise just writing for the sake of getting your feelings out, that's going to help you slow down and be in the moment, process things. There was also some really interesting points in this book about consumption and advertising and the birth of advertising and how consumption changed after advertising changed during the Second World War because of different discoveries that were made in psychology about how companies could use these new discoveries in psychology to influence what people were able to buy, create this advertising that was to encourage more. And Paul Mazur of Lehman Brothers said, "We must shift America from a needs to a desires culture. People must be trained to desire, to want new things, even before the old have been entirely consumed. We must shape a new mentality. Man's desires must overshadow his needs." And this, I think, is so prescient because that's basically what's happened. How many pairs of shoes do you own? Like, do you wait until something has completely worn out or completely used up before you buy a new thing? I know I'm guilty of this. I'm looking at them right now. 3 different perfumes. I didn't wait until one was finished before I bought another one. And 3 is not that big of a number, but you know, it's about how much our society has shifted towards consumption. If you're a spiritual person, this other quote really stuck out to me. The French sociologist Jean Baudrillard has made the point that in the Western world, materialism has become the new dominant system of meaning. He argues atheism hasn't replaced cultural Christianity, shopping has. We now get our meaning from what we consume. We even get our identity from the things we buy. And I just wanted to include this bit about consumption. I hope that it's showing the link between our capitalist, consumerist society and the way that we act, the things that we value, versus how we don't actually need the things that we're being sold. We can rest, we can do without. We don't need to engage in these systems that we live under, but it is really easy to do that, obviously, because it's everywhere, right? This advertising is everywhere. This idea that we can buy an identity through the next dress that we buy or through the next pair of shoes that we buy. Like, I'm still untangling all of this. I think this really ties nicely into the idea of resting, slowing down. Like, if you are going to have a winter arc and that is still something you want to do, maybe make that about unlearning things and about thinking about productivity, about the terms that our economy uses, like economically inactive, about how capitalism and consumerism work together to shape our value system and to shape the way we spend money, the way we spend time, how we value our time, how we value our money, how our attention is being weaponized against us, how everything is being done to take us out of the present moment and to go buy something or to go do something, when really all we need to do to be valuable is to exist. You don't need to buy anything or do anything. Your job does not make you more valuable. You are not more important because you have whatever role. You are inherently valuable. We all are. You don't need a winter arc. You need to slow down. I really, really hope that this has given you something to think about and encouraged you, planted some seeds. I really encourage you to read that book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. If you can see if your local library has it, it is a wonderful book. I will leave on the screen a related video I did about slowing down, where I made my autumn vision board and I was also kind of unpacking this winter arc trend. It's more like stream of consciousness, but it definitely has the same vibe to this video, so you can check that out if you would like. God bless, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.